Everybody to the Monroe County Substance Use Disorder Community Awareness Commission. It is January 20th, 2023 at noon, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you're joining us on Zoom, thank you very much for joining us to talk about the important topic of substance use disorder. The first item on our agenda is approval of the December 16th, 2022 minutes. We do have a quorum today. However, we don't have the minutes at this moment. So I think what we'll do is approve the December and January minutes in our February meeting, if that's okay with everybody.
Yep.
And I think before we go into member announcements, it might be good to go around the table and introduce ourselves since we have a new member. Let's see, should we go ahead? Can we start with you?
Sure. Hi. Hi, my name is Melanie Veslich. I'm the Senior Community Health Specialist at the Monroe County Health Department.
Jean Kapler. I'm a psychotherapist with Easter Seals Crossroads for folks with brain injuries.
I'm Penny Kithens, Monroe County Commissioner.
And I'm Kathy Hewitt, the Population Health and Outreach Manager for the Health Department.
Button allows me to speak. My name is Patricia Cummings. I'm with the Deputy Prosecutor's Office. I'm in child support.
And I'm Peter Iverson. I'm on the County Council.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you for joining us.
All right, next on our agenda, we have time set aside for member announcements. Who'd like to share an announcement that pertains to SUD? Yes.
I'll just offer that my program resource facilitation that had been housed at the Rehabilitation Hospital of Indiana. We worked with a lot of folks who had substance use disorders as sort of a complicating factor with brain injury. That program has been picked up by Easter Seals Crossroads. So that service is going to remain available for folks if they can make it into vocational rehabilitation and Indiana State agency, and then they can refer those folks to us. So
Excellent.
Should we let folks know where Voc Rehab is here in town?
Indiana Vocational Rehabilitation, they have an office here in town that serves Monroe and some surrounding counties. And they can be reached at 812-332-7331. So if folks need to contact them, if nothing else, people can reach out to me through Easter Seals Crossroads. It's just call the main number there. I don't know that number yet by heart, but yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Is there any other member that has an announcement that you feel like we or the community should know about? I wanted to share just real quickly that the National Association of Counties has launched its Opioid Solution Center online. That is a resource that came out of their Opioid Solutions Leadership Network. They on that Opioid Solutions Center have a planning principles toolkit. They have approved strategies from counties across the nation. They have technical assistance and a series of case studies and examples from other counties. So I think this is a great resource for us to kind of think about as we are advising the commissioners on, what next steps to take, or the council on what to fund next. These are some great case studies and examples. So if you go to NACO.org/resources, you can find the Opioid Solutions Center. You could also probably just Google it. And then the other announcement I wanted to make is that the Association of Indiana Counties put out a press release that the Indiana GFOA is establishing 2 funds to account for settlement transactions for the opioid settlement. So in terms of accounting, that the state is making way so for us to have buckets to appropriate those dollars, which we'll then be able to talk about how to utilize those in our community. So that should be something that we should probably put on a future agenda. But obviously, we have those dollars, but it's good to see that the state is making these different accounts available for appropriations. And just for those of you listening, that the GFOA accounts are Fund 1237 opioid restricted funds and Fund 1238 opioid unrestricted funds. And those correlate to the settlement provisions that split the money into restricted and unrestricted. Any other member announcements? Would you mind introducing yourself as we have a new member? Yeah, make it green.
That,
Yep.
like that. Okay.
Yep.
Steve Malone. I'm with probation and oversee the problem solving courts. I've seen you before in the Justice Building, right? Okay.
All right. Well, and as we are in January, the next item on our agenda are 2023 goals. And I think that one of the things that I'd like to accomplish this year is to move forward as expeditiously as possible for 2023 Educational Summit. I think it's probably time for us to investigate whether we're going to hold something in 2023 or early 2024. And I'd really like to take steps to able to do that. The second goal that I have is to make sure that there's enough people sitting at this table to help us do that. I think as we're looking around, there's a lot of influential county employees and community leaders, but I think that we probably have some expertise to add to this committee to help make that happen. Are there any thoughts or ideas about what this body can accomplish in the coming calendar year?
I would like to have a summit of some sort by the end of the year if we can. I think there's a lot that's going on. We need to figure out where we should be spending money. Maybe there are people that can help us with some of that with the opioid settlement. And I think it ties in a lot with what we're looking at with the Criminal Justice Response Committee as well. And so Peter had a suggestion earlier, as we were just chatting about other things, that perhaps it's time to look at hiring an event planner, programmer, whatever, to really get this off the ground. Because I know the last time we did this, Andrea put in just enormous amounts of time. But I think we also should start to figure out what the goal or what the educational outreach should look like and how long we want that to last. Either half day, full day, but the times that we've done multiple day programs, it's pretty long.
Okay, I've worked and Steve's worked on all the summits that we've had so far, and they've been wonderful, and I love doing them. They also take an incredible amount of time. So if we had some funding to be able to hire somebody to at least manage it, and then we could all do our regular part, that would be amazing. An idea that Andrea had the last year that we did that was to perhaps hold a half-day summit and then go on and do Paint the Town in the afternoon. So I'm just throwing that out there. We thought about it at the time. We thought that would make a great event, so.
Excellent. Thank you. Just want to interject real quickly. Katz, I'm getting notifications from members that the Zoom link is not working. Should I be directing them to the Zoom link on the county calendar?
Yeah, they're using the one in the agenda that would let you click that. So if they go to the main calendar, that works.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're getting notice from 2 people they can't get in, so I'll take care of that real quick.
I'll find out how much money exactly we have in our budget so that we can start to think about.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Would never thought about possibly being able to do that, but I think that's an absolutely wonderful idea because Kathy is exactly right. The amount of time for planning, organizing this, reaching out to individuals, businesses, agencies to present was overwhelming, and Andrea did a very good job of doing all that. I mean, myself and a few others just helped, but it was a lot. So hiring somebody to do that. And I assume they would also do some, maybe the lunch and learn educational type stuff as well, in addition to that, what you said, in addition to the possible summit, or just for the summit?
Well, we were thinking just for the summit, we do have a limited budget, but, and the lunch and learns, especially if we do them as hybrid, they're less onerous, I think. But yeah,
And I wanted to just quickly mention that Sarah Larson is in the meeting, and if we could promote her to panelist, please. And then I think we're waiting for one other person. Back to the idea of an educational summit. I have reached out to 4 people who I'm calling connectors to ask them for ideas about who could help us put on an event like this. I've reached out to Beth Sarche, she LCSW, MSW. I've reached out to Andrea Havel, whom we all know. I reached out to Eric Spoonmore at the Chamber of Commerce, and also Beth Hamlin in the prosecutor's office had indicated that she has some people that she has in mind as well.
I think Beth actually helped with first. Yes.
Yeah, so we've got some people that not only are interested in this concept of restarting it, but seem pretty passionate about, they share your idea that we should be hiring somebody.
We would love to do it, but the health department has a lot of big projects coming up this year.
Yes, you do.
We just don't have the extra time it would take to do this, so.
All right, well, we will work on that and have an update for you in the next meeting. In terms of other goals, other things that we want to accomplish in this body, are there other ideas, or do you think that doing lunch and learns, planning for an educational summit, those sorts of things are going to be taking up most of our time? Please.
I have more questions, I think, than I have answers,
Good.
but, and I'm not real familiar with a lot of what we've done in the past. Do we reach out to the high schools? Do we do any sort of work with youth? Because when in the child support office that I'm working in, a lot of the people that I deal with got involved with drugs early on, and that has just caused a cascade of effects for them and created problems for them. And I didn't know whether or not we're trying to get educational information out to young people before they become addicted.
Did we do that in previous summits? I was an attendee, but I wasn't involved in planning previous summits.
I think, wasn't there a group from Scott County, the youth, like Scott County Empower or something along those lines that did a presentation? But I don't know what was involved with the planning and getting that information out to us locally, but I think that was a presentation.
I think the main summits were focused more toward adults and organizations and residents, but that's a good idea, and we should keep that in mind while we plan, so.
Good suggestion. Did you have any other questions that you wanted to pose at this point?
Not at this time, but maybe something will come up.
Okay, great.
So one final comment on that idea. So in my head, I'm thinking we could have a portion of the summit kind of focused on youth, but there's nothing stopping us from doing an educational program, a lunch and learn, whatever it is, that does that outreach to youth. So, we'd have to think about what format that would be and what venue, but I think it's an excellent idea.
There are so many subject matter experts around this table that I really see that as the value of this body, is to say, well, we need to go in this direction and this direction because that's what the evidence is showing us. That's what my practice has shown me. So I think that's a great suggestion. I wanted to note that Ms. Brown Sparks has joined us on Zoom. Welcome, Ms. Brown Sparks, and welcome, Ms. Larson. I wanted to make sure that if you had any comments, you had the opportunity to make those, but you're under no obligation to do so. All right, let's move on to Commissioner membership updates. At the last meeting, I agreed to serve as interim president for this body. I think it's probably going to stay that way. I think I should probably drop the interim title. It is what it is. Yeah, yeah. And Melanie, are you beginning your duties today? Thank you. Past President Erica Oliphant, obviously from the prosecutor's office, has offered to provide her guidance and assistance too. So that's helpful. So thank you, Erica, if you're listening. We're gonna move on to a question of meeting time. This room is available now, but if we were to change the time, it might change the availability of this room. It seems that we have quorum right now. We've had quorum reliably for a couple of meetings. Is there any reason to change what's working?
I'm good with this time.
Okay. Ms. Brown Sparks or Ms. Larson, does this time work for you, or should we try and find a different time where you can be in person?
This time works for me. It's not a matter of the time that involves whether or not I can be there in person. I have an autoimmune disease.
Understood. Well, I'm glad that you can join us on Zoom, and we look forward to hearing your expertise from the land of Zoom. Thank you. All right, so I think what I'm hearing is that we're going to keep these meetings at noon. And I think that's working out for us. And so we will work with Dina in the commissioner's office to submit our meeting dates for public notice for the rest of this year. The next item is some bit of an old business. It's the Sam Canoni's event. Have we sent a letter to Mr. Canoni's, or has he responded, or what's the status on this?
The current status is I sent an email response the same day that we met last month. I have to identify whether or not we had a mailing address, and I did not receive anything back from him. So I guess the question is, should we move forward? We were talking last meeting about sending a letter either as an attachment or as part of an email to him. So is that what we would like to do from either my email or from someone else's? I don't know that there's a commission email to send from. I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts?
My feeling is that due diligence has been done here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're all pretty busy, and to keep spitting into the wind here might be a little much.
So nothing to be sent. Is that what I'm hearing? Or
The fact that we're not hearing back about a preferred, address or a preferred method of communication seems to indicate that we should probably move on to more important matters for Monroe County.
I looked and I couldn't find anything. We'd have to do it like through his publisher or something like that kind of thing. So.
okay, I'm happy to just leave it as it is then. Okay, thanks.
The next item on the agenda are lunch and learn programs. And we've had, well, first of all, I need to own an error of spelling. Dr. Cook's name has an E on the end, so I apologize to Dr. Cook for misspelling your name. Nick is not here right now for us to have an update. And one of the things that I was wanting to ask this body is, we seem to be having a problem getting lunch and learn scheduled. We have them every once in a while, but it seems like maybe we should make this a duty of one of the members, that we should have people working on this and then report back to this body that they've contacted so many people over a month and over the 12 months of the year, and these are the planned lunch and learns. It seems like this is kind of a tough thing to accomplish at this point. Am I reading the room right, or is this you all feel like this body can take on lunch and learns?
I think we could do maybe 2 a year, but set up, and if more come up, we can add those, but a limit of maybe 2. So.
Okay. kind of the will of the body. And then lunch and learns. Is that your question? Lunch and learns are educational, like lunch sessions that a local expert comes and talks about an area of substance use disorder treatment, policy, whatever they're working on. And members of the community are invited to attend. We've done some in person, we've done some virtually, and they've generally been pretty successful.
So the various commission members and like last year or the year before sort of took responsibility for, once a flyer was made up, advertising this and a link established for, Zoom presentation, to send out that information to their lists of people. And so there are various mailing lists of folks, we'll forward that information to. And then there was discussion about getting announcements about a lunch and learn in local media, but I can't remember what we've done with that.
We also have the Facebook page that we use
Yeah.
to promote things.
But like I had, certain people on my list that I'm forwarding that information out to. And so each person kind of does that for their lists of folks. I know Beverly Callender Anderson was sending the announcements out to all the local agencies that her office with the city works with as well, all local providers. So that's the main avenue of advertising it.
So our target audience are people who are already providing services to people who have substance use disorders.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, Nick Foles also, I think, puts information out to the people whom he services through the syringe service program and things like that. So it's a wide variety of people. Jackie
Yeah.
Daniels and her group.
I sent out to Indiana Vocational Rehabilitation because a lot of VR counselors are, working with folks who have substance use disorders. And so they're always looking for educational opportunities. So it's not directly substance use providers. It's just a wide variety of community groups and organizations.
Are they recorded by CATS or just by the county?
Pardon?
Did they get recorded by CATS or just by the county? Because they're recorded, the county records them, but I'm not sure what happens with them after that.
I am having a hard time discerning words, and so I'm reading the sub and the subtitles are not helping me
We
either.
need to figure out who is recording them so that we can provide the links and stuff. for
Okay.
people.
He's recording them. I don't know
Right.
where they're placed afterwards, if it's CATS.
Uh-huh.
record them.
I don't know if CATS was recording them, but I know that the recordings were supposed to be showing up on our portion of the county website.
Okay.
The previous lunch and learns are supposed to be there. I haven't checked to see if they're archived there.
We can go back and look. I see Commissioner Githens feverishly scribbling a note. I'm making a digital note myself. We also have a SUDAC, which is this body website on the county page, and those recordings, if they're not already, should be on that page so that we can simply link to it.
Would there be a question of who can upload those? Would that be a thing for Dina or for someone on this body? I know that I can do updates for the health department on my page, but I don't know if that's something that I could do there.
My understanding is that the commissioner's office has been doing updates on that page for this body previously. But I have been known to have been wrong in the past.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Sometimes we're too close to things. We don't go digging. So,
That's right. Don't realize we're in a forest. The other audience that I've shared with is researchers at the School of Public Health. I used to be an employee there, and so there's always students that are studying in this area and researchers who are doing the cutting edge research on substance use disorder at Indiana University. And then there's also the Indiana Public Public Health Association. Those groups tend to be really interested in our lunch and learns and, eventually our education. Summit.
Do we ever provide CLEs, continuing legal education credits? Okay, I see nodding that we do. Okay.
At least we did for people in social work and things like that, but we didn't do any for law at all.
Yeah, so maybe CEUs.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, okay, good.
Have we done that in the last few lunch and learns?
Not for the lunch and learns, we did it for the
Yeah.
summits.
Yeah, for the summits.
Right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the private bar is always looking for good CLE opportunities. And I know when we would do them for Middle Way House, we would get a really good turnout. We would get donations to Middle Way House for providing them. We wouldn't charge anything other than, a small nominal amount. I don't even know if we do that, any sort of charging, but I know that attorneys really like getting CLEs.
That's a great suggestion.
We could probably work with the Monroe County Bar Association.
Mhm.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
The next item, kind of conversation with lunch and learns is we're going to be doing 2 a year. When should we do them? And what are some suggested topics that we feel are important to host these on? There are some suggestions there for 2023. But I wanted to open it up so that if you all had suggestions, we could add that to the list. Obviously, Recovery Month is in September. So we could coincide one of our summits in September. We could do one in the spring, kind of balance it out. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
Well, if we do a summit that aligns with Paint the Town Purple, that's going to be in September. So
We've always done the summit in September anyway. So.
Yeah.
September is a busy month. So it seems like a lunch and learns might, like you said, balance out if we do one in spring and then late fall. So
Mhm.
stay away from the holidays. So
That's right. That's right. And maybe the summer when this town decreases in half. All right, well, this will be a recurring item on the agenda. So as we get closer and closer to the spring, we'll start talking more and more about the logistics. And we'll need to secure a speaker and a topic. I'm thinking pretty soon here.
I guess the question would be, would we need to, or should we reach out to people now and then come back with any sort of report back? Would that be valuable to expedite things or?
I think it would. If you have people that you think would be an interesting presenter, let's start reaching out and seeing if they're available now. I think both in the practitioner fields and the legal fields. I think that makes a lot of sense. Good suggestion.
one of the most powerful things I have heard as we talk about these issues was a panel of people who were in recovery.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think it takes a special person to be able to talk about that publicly. But for me, hearing people's experiences, I don't know, it woke me up in a different way.
And I think from someone from a fiscal perspective, we just look at spreadsheets so often. And harm reduction comes up on a spreadsheet and we're like, yes, okay, we approve that. And to hear a story about how that impacted someone's life is really powerful.
So maybe we can work with Melanie and Nick and see if we could put together a panel who could talk about their experiences if they're willing to. But like I said, I think that's a very impactful kind of thing to do.
I'm wondering also if there's a panel of folks with lived experience that are in recovery. I know one person who's an addiction recovery specialist, therapist, who also is in recovery and can speak to that both in terms of a person who's been through it, as well as a person who's worked with hundreds and hundreds of folks who are trying to get into recovery. She might be a good member of that panel.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's wonderful.
so would you like me to at least have a conversation with her, see if she'd be interested?
I think so.
Okay,
I don't want to speak for everyone else,
okay.
but I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding. And if you know of anybody,
I'm going through a list in my head, but I'd have to talk to them and find out if they were interested in sharing their experiences because
course.
it's not public for some of them.
right, consent in this area is really important. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Anything else on lunch and learns before we move on? All right, the educational summit. I think what I'm hearing from the conversation we had about goals is that, or in other conversations, that a September event has been our practice. And the question before us is, should we do a September 2023 event and put something together expeditiously? Or should we take our time and do something in September of 2024? What are your feelings? What are your thoughts? Again, with the idea that we would be hiring someone either way, potentially.
I think if we were gonna do September of this year, we need to start that planning process like today. And if we're gonna hire someone to do that, I don't know how long it's gonna take to get someone hired to kind of spearhead this and then pull together a group to start the planning process. So I'm a little concerned about September of this year.
Okay.
So,
That's helpful.
And I haven't gotten a text back from people in the commissioner's office to find out how much money we have to work with too, because I think we need to understand our own budget with this and set that out.
Yeah, $40,000.
I know we spent a little bit with Sam Quinones, but I'm not sure about the actual total, so.
And that's this commission's budget line in the commissioner's budget. Is that right?
Actually, there are two separate lines in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was because Andrea and others in the past did such a great job of raising sponsorships.
Well, that's the other thing. That's
Yeah,
going to take some time too.
It wasn't that the county has put any money toward this really.
Right, it was money raised for the summit to provide on the summit, so.
You have any thoughts about this?
Well, I was thinking maybe we should wait until 2024 because I don't think we're going to pull much together. Maybe just worry about doing the lunch and learns this year, maybe do an extra or two lunch and learns and then worry about the summit once you figured out where we're at as far as finances are concerned and pulling somebody together to help do this. Because I'm with Gene that I think if we don't get this started like today or within the next week or so, we're going to have a hard pressed time getting everybody together for that in September. And we did sponsorships, we did tables. They sponsored tables to raise money for this and we could.
Vendors came.
Vendor tables. We could also do that as well again. But again, I think it's going to take a large effort or a big effort to be able to do that at between now and September. I just don't know if that's going to be easily done at this point in time. And I don't want to do it halfway. I want to do it full way because that's what we've done in the past.
That's the feedback I'm getting from some of the people I mentioned earlier is they really encouraged us to do this right instead of doing this haphazardly. And I think that's right. That's the way I approach it.
Do we know
This will
when they
allow us to get on.
started?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask when in the year the planning process had started for previous summits? Just so we had an idea if we were talking to a new hire or someone.
The day after the previous summit. I mean, almost. Seriously.
Well, and
Working?
And it's so scalable. I mean, the last one, the last big one, I mean, there were like thousands of people that registered and we didn't have room for them. This was huge. And I just want to,
Talking about a summit, Nick.
There's an agenda.
Excuse my tardiness, you guys.
I have the green one, yeah.
Excuse my tardiness. We had an emergency at the IRA.
All those are fun. Nick, we have a new member today. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Nicholas Voiles. I'm the executive director of the Indiana Recovery Alliance. Pleased to meet you.
Thank you.
I do have some questions about some of the people that we could possibly use. I know that, you know, again, through the legal perspective, JLAP, which is the Judges and Lawyers Assistance Program, they have a lot of outreach for people who have substance issues or, you know, other problems too within the legal field. And that might be something that would be a good, if not, you know, if we're not going to have a summit, but that might make for a good lunch and learn offering CLEs. And I could reach out to the person who runs JLab.
I'd never even heard of this before, so this is wonderful. We need these kinds of education things going on.
And a lot of times that education gives you ethics CLEs too, which are harder to get than your general CLEs. So anything that's going to get ethics CLEs may draw a little more of a crowd as well.
And for those who don't speak governmentese, could you tell us what JLAP stands for?
Judges and Lawyers Assistance Project, and it's something that is through the Indiana Bar as far as providing assistance for judges and attorneys who are dealing with any sort of issues that may make it more difficult for them to perform or just, you know, to adjust to changes in life. And so it's not just substance abuse. It may be depression. It may be old age. It may be transitioning from being a current attorney to being retired and passing on your practice, but they do cover an awful lot of substance issues as well, simply because attorneys do have a high rate of stress.
Sure.
And so, and that's one of the primary reasons why people initially start using substances, is because they think it's going to help them with the stress instead of realizing that it's going to make it worse.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so we are thinking about a September 2024 educational summit here in Monroe County. And we should, what I'm hearing is we're going to investigate resources that we have currently. That'll give us a sense of when we could have someone start to help us with the logistics and give us a better idea of a timeline. But it sounds to me that we should be starting rather soon with trying to hash out outlines and things like that, agendas and things like that.
If since Nick got here late, we were talking about, for one of the lunch and learns, doing a panel of people in recovery. And that I think would fit really well if we did that in September in conjunction with Paint the Town Purple.
That would be perfect.
That we could do that
That would
lunch
be
and learn
really
at that.
nice.
Do you mean people in abstinence-based recovery or?
Any,
Any.
Good, what the?
So we will need help recruiting people, but sorry, if we're not going to do anything in September this year on a summit, that seems to me like the right time to do
I
that.
like it. Looking for-
Commissioner Githens, that's a great idea, and you shouldn't apologize for great ideas.
Come in your purple, we'll be there, right?
We normally have that end of August 31st. Overdose Awareness Day. I wonder if we could do something in enveloping all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? No, we have something on the lawn, but do we maybe want to stay away from that? It's not very festive, but I mean,
What was the date again? October what?
August 31st
August 31st.
is International Overdose Awareness Day. So we always get on the courthouse and talk to people. We've been doing it every year.
Yeah.
And but I don't know if doing that with that would make it too melancholy, or if we want to keep the two separate, or how you want to do it, you know? Because there's overdose awareness day and then there's recovery celebrations. You know, I don't know if those would juxtapose or not. Just a thought, I was just throwing it out there.
So from a governance standpoint, both sides of that coin are really important the way we think about funding.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, when we talk with our coroner at budget time, that is an issue that we have found, we've had increased expenses that we weren't planning on. I think it's really important to talk about both. It's important to celebrate, but it's also important to acknowledge how deadly this is.
It really is, we're pushing this here, especially hard for a drug checking machine to try and get some kind of semblance of an idea of how we can get out of this, you know, it's just, we see more and more every day, you know, that's where I was just at, we just had someone who overdosed in front of Shalom. You know, and like, it's so common now that it's just, you know, and the way the police respond is ridiculously horrible and sad, but I think their hands are tied. I don't think they're like, I think they have like they have to do it legally a certain way. But it's like they wouldn't even rescue braids for the kid, and he's like turning blue, and you know, anyways, just one of those really hard situations. The more education we can get out, the better, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible, right in front of Saloon. It's always right in front of Saloon. It's always right there. And like they make it there and they think they're okay, you know, it's kind of a sad thing, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so too. I mean, I didn't know, like, sometimes there's things like this where like, so we did this international or national one in North Carolina, and we focused just on overdose awareness day, and it was nice. One of the things I always thought of is like, you know, for me, death is always kind of not the war. I mean, it's horrible for people to lose their life, but like, it's also celebrating life itself seems to be something I'd rather do than mourn. You know what I mean? Like, how can we stop the thing? You know, how can we make it better or whatever? So I didn't know, but sometimes people don't like those two things together, but I always thought it would work good, you know?
We can talk about that.
Oh, yeah, just because the summit's gonna eat up a lot of time and effort. And if we had something planned early on, if I had something planned about overdose awareness day where I didn't have to do 2 events, it would help me and I could put a lot more effort into whatever we were doing. You know what I mean? So that I didn't have to like just concentrate on that event, which takes an inordinate amount of like time and people power. You know? It would just mean that basically it'd be able for me to put in a lot more, but I'll do whatever I can anyways, but yeah.
Mhm.
I thought that'd be nice.
Well, great. So in the February agenda, we'll have our lunch and learns fleshed out a little bit more in terms of kind of what we've been talking about here and timing and things like that. That way we can start planning for them. And then one of the things that I've included here on the agenda under the educational summit is that last time Commissioner Githens suggested using SPIA fellows, and there are so many students at SPIA, which I'm a grad, so I'm a little biased, but at other units too, that I think would love to work on this. So I think that's just one more reason that postponing it to 2024 is a good idea, so that we can start working with those professors who are running these fellows programs.
There are people, I'm sure, in public health too. And nursing and
And social work
Nursing
and,
school, we're doing a clinic with them
And-
right now. They'd love to do that, yeah.
and not just IU, but Ivy Tech.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's really smart. I'd love to have Ivy Tech there too.
There's a lot we can do here. And I think if we take the time to do it, we'll do better. All right. Speaking of doing things better, the next item on the agenda is the annual report, which I haven't finished yet. So there's nothing to review.
Amazing.
I
So
wondered where the attachment was. So.
I'm so sorry.
That was an easy subject.
It was an easy subject.
I like it. Smooth.
All right, we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there anything that we did not talk about that we should be talking about?
You have the next meeting location is in the county council room.
I think we should meet here.
I think so too. Yes, I think it's more open. To the
This is
public.
much better for cats. We don't have to deal with the owl,
I like this.
and the lighting's better.
I can comment on some of the stuff if you want to, that has me on it. Dr. Cook has not responded to me again.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Dr. Cook has not responded. I CC'd you guys on it. I don't know what the deal is. I see him, he talks to me and then he doesn't respond to me. I asked Kelly Hans to see if she could get that's the person who's running the Scott County Sword Service Program and has for years. Well, we'll run it again when it starts up again. And she said that she, it's real hit and miss with him right now. I said, well, if you can get in, talk to him, even an email saying no would do us wonders,
Yeah. I think in these circumstances where no response is being, I think we need to move on. There are people who will respond to us and that's okay. That's not a slam on anybody.
And there's good people, even if we wanted to bring Kelly, we talk about bringing Dr. Cook, like Kelly had more to do with that than anybody else. I mean, Kelly's one there still fighting, like she ran that program for years and is sitting there like really under all of her neighbors and friends, throwing shadow and doubt and stigma at her and still standing there, and also running Thrive, which is freaking amazing. Thrive is really cool. I mean, maybe we could have, maybe we could have her and Phil Thrive. I mean, Phil Stuckey,
I don't know.
yeah. There's a bunch of good Indiana people lately. We've been having the state grant, HRSO, it's a harm reduction through outreach grant. And I've noticed there's a lot of people that I've met, like there was some people up in Muncie, I really would like to they came down and trained with us for a while. I've just noticed that it's opening up some really neat inroads in Indiana. Indiana has a real specific harm reduction flavor, everywhere does, but we're kind of the weird one stuck between the South and the Midwest. So every cohort I'm in, like nationally, I always get the South and the Midwest. So and it's just interesting that it's a really neat, it turned to be a really neat thing, meeting all these people from, all the way from, Vigo County to, Fort Wayne. So.
Yeah.
Deborah Stanley has been, doing harm reduction for decades in, South Bend. She is an Inmani Unidad, and she's just amazing. I think you know her, maybe you might not think of
I'm
her.
not sure.
She's an older Black lady. She knows your studies. She knows your stuff about brain injury. So
Mhm.
I just think we have good choices. And I saw my name somewhere else.
We nominated you to be president of this body, but since you were not here, you didn't get the vote, so.
Dodged again.
I know, yeah.
I thought you were just staying there. Like I thought this was like screw interim. Let's just push him.
I'm gonna do some political machinations to get someone else to do it, but
No, it will never happen. We're all working in the back lines.
all right. Well, since I'm not hearing anything else, I did bring a bit of show and tell today. This was peaking. This is sitting on a shelf in the council offices. This is from 2018, where the Association of Indiana Counties gave us an award for our summit. And I thought today would be a great day to bring this back out and just show everybody that, we got statewide recognition for the work you all did. So kudos to you. Here it is. Maybe we can hang it on the halls out here. But this needs to not sit on a bookshelf in a back conference room. So congratulations, everybody. Again.
We'll have to make sure that's up on an easel when we do our next summit.
Yes, it's true. And maybe get another one with a more recent date on it. Yeah. All right. This meeting is adjourned. We will see you all next time. What is that date in February? February 17th. February 17th, right here in the conference room. And for those of you who tried to use the Zoom link on the agenda, I apologize. I'll get that right. And we will see you all in February.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.